What's happening, people? Welcome to the Random Dad Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Sean Strickland and Eric Nicksick and all the drama that's been going on around those two since UFC 312 at the weekend there on Saturday, where Dricus Du Plessis shut out Sean Strickland and finally called it a day on that saga before anybody else had any more questions. Obviously, that first fight between them was very, very, very close. A lot of people argued Sean Strickland won it. A lot of people argued that Dricus Du Plessis won it. Now, we came into this second fight, and Sean got absolutely dominated no matter where the fight went for 5 rounds. You know what I mean? He had his nose broken the first, so he was an absolute warrior to keep going through that first round into the second, third, fourth, and fifth with a broken nose. He also tried to reset his nose. Didn't happen. You know what I mean? He got it broken again in another round. I heard him say in an interview after the fight, or just in a little bit of content after the fight. But yeah, like his jab and his teep just didn't work. Dricus Du Plessis just put it on him. He had the jab followed up by the ones, the twos, the threes, the extra head kicks that he was firing in there. He was just utilizing it all around. And obviously that dude is an absolute bulldog. A lot of people think he's got some sloppy MMA, but he is powerful, he is strong, and he will just drag you down to the floor whenever he wants to as well. So hats off to Dricus Du Plessis. He had an unbelievable performance, shut Sean Strickland out. Sean Strickland's face was an absolute bloody mess. There was blood all over him as well. You know what I mean? Dricus Du Plessis kind of walked away a little bit unscathed. It seemed like Sean Strickland just couldn't land a punch. And since then, this has came to a lot of skepticism for Sean Strickland. Everybody was riding on this hype train of Sean for quite a while there because of how controversial he is and the type of character that he is. And he is a good fighter. You know what I mean? He became the champion. He beat Israel Adesanya in an unbelievable fashion himself. And MMA fans, as usual, are pretty fickle and pretty quick to turn their opinion around on somebody over one performance. You know what I mean? But one person that I didn't imagine to do it was his coach, Eric Nicksick, who took to Ariel Helwani's podcast and never had some very nice things to say about him, to be honest with you. It wasn't exactly the interview that I expected to see from somebody's head coach, when it seems like he's not even spoke to Sean about it. And he's just gone on there and absolutely badmouthed his fighter. Said some comments around, I only want to train world champions, and he doesn't know what this guy's motivation is. Well, how do you not know what your guy's motivation is when apparently you're friends, you've been training together for years? It was just all a bit funny. So anyway, I'm going to run the clip from Ariel Helwani. So make sure you go and check out the full interview if you want to see a little bit more. But I'm just going to run the clip that I just want to talk about here. So let's get that up on the screen.
So obviously in the aftermath, there's been a lot of criticism thrown his way, in large part because he's such a boisterous and kind of outspoken, outlandish personality. But he also, not just when talking about regular stuff, if you want to call it regular stuff, politics and all this stuff, he says things like he's going to fight to the death. And obviously that's not really what we saw on Saturday. Do you think that the criticism is warranted? Do you think that it has been fair?
Yeah, of course. I do. I do. I mean, we have to be real. Like it just was a very underwhelming performance in an opportunity to fight for a title. There's people in this sport that never even realize that potential to ever even be an opportunity to fight for a championship. That should be enough to get you motivated, to get you off the couch. So, it just to me was we didn't perform. So that's all. It's on all of us. It's on me as a coaching staff. It's on Sean and I think he needs a
pause. So he's saying that he feels like the criticism is deserving on Sean Strickland and that he should have been motivated enough to get off the couch because he's going for a title fight, another title fight. Again, it's one of those things like on the night, anything can happen, anything can go down. And was it Dricus Du Plessis was just so good that he just completely shut out Sean Strickland and he couldn't start finding his rhythm and finding like that Philly shell and his teep and his jab? Was it that DDP has learned it from the last fight and obviously has made the adjustment that is needed and he's gone forward to push for more? Was it the staph infection? Because that was obviously a thing that was in the build up to the fight too. Sean had staph infection on his arm, said staph or no staph, I'm the dude that gives staph, like I'm going to be there. He was clearly going to be on antibiotics, but this seems like a strange approach from Eric Nicksick here, who's just completely going with the criticism himself. Like, you're the coach, bro. What did you do in that corner? What did you say to your man in that corner to be able to motivate him in the fight? Was it a negative approach like this? You know what I mean? Dude, like, This is already annoying me. I've already watched it a million times. I'm glad he admitted that it's on all of us. It's on the coaching staff. It's on everybody. Like, it's on him, like, too, as well as Sean Strickland. It's not just Sean Strickland that got him to the dance, but once he's locked in that cage, it is only on Sean Strickland, which is a fair analogy.
Evaluate what he wants to do in the sport. If it's just to make money, then that's great. Let us know. You know, I want to coach world champions. So my motivations are different, you know. So I think that, you know, just to kind of show up and do that and you know, not really back it up, just to me was just kind of uninspiring.
This was a weird one. We know that Sean Strickland is not just in this for making money. Like, he has done this long enough now that he has said multiple times that even if he was broke and wasn't getting paid, this dude would still fight. He loves fighting. As a good friend said, Sean Strickland gets up and fights on a Tuesday just because it's Tuesday. You know what I mean? He's not bothered about the money that's coming in. There was also interviews prior to this fight, even with Michael Bisping as well, where Sean Strickland said, "Look, I've made enough money from everything that I've done. I don't need money to be going ahead and actually getting in there to fight for cash." I mean, they are prize fighters, as Ola, my other good friend, likes to bring up as well. These fighters are prize fighters. They're all fighting for money, as well as maybe fame, as well as maybe stardom and a little bit of that title and maybe a legacy that they want to leave behind. They all have different reasons. They all have different reasons for fighting. You know what I mean? But fighting for money definitely isn't one of Sean's motivations and reasons. He's even said himself he could already retire and go off and do whatever Sean Strickland thinks Sean Strickland likes to do. Guns, motorbikes, whatever the hell it is. I want to coach world champions. Okay, brother. World champions aren't something you come against every other bloody week in the gym. World champions aren't something that you are always going to have. You've had one world champion, and that's Sean Strickland. Go and have a look at the rest of the roster of people that you train, and go and find me other world champions that you've got. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't agree with this mind. I want to train world champions. Right, I get it. You want to train the best of the best of the best. But what type of leadership is that? What type of head coach is that? To be showing any kind of management or structure to be like, well, I want to train world champions or nothing. What about the new dude that comes into the gym and he's looking to go and train, and your attitude towards it is, I want to train world champions, bro, get lost. You know what I mean? Like, nah, this just doesn't sit at all with me. And as we can see next, it didn't sit with Sean Strickland either. I think he's now decided that Eric Nicksick is no longer going to be in his corner. There's plenty of other people at the gym that he can go and train with, and he's going to be having somebody else in his corner. And quite right. You know what I mean? This is not the attitude that you want in coming from your head coach after losing a world title, which probably already feels shitty enough in itself. You know what I mean? And again, to go out there and not put on the performance that you would like to put on. Yeah, like he talked a big game. Yeah, he said he was going to go out and do all these things, but sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, folks. That's just the way it goes. You know what I mean? He went in there and it wasn't his night. It's just one of those things. And I'm not sitting here completely defending Sean Strickland. Like, his style does need to change. He does need to evolve. He does need to try some different things. Otherwise, guys are going to read it. It's going to be predictable. And they're just going to be able to know how to go in there and what to do to beat him. You know what I mean? Like, he's had the same kind of approach for a good number of years. I understand that. I am saying he can develop on some of the things that he does. But for a head coach to go on a show like Ariel Helwani, probably one of the biggest spoon stirrers in the MMA space, when he captures these interviews and starts sharing this kind of content, is ridiculous, when, from as far as we know, he never went and spoke to Sean Strickland about it first. So let's see what Sean Strickland's response to this was, and I'll bring that video up now as well.
All right, guys, keep tagging me about this whole Eric thing, and goddamn it, because I like Eric. He's a friend of mine, and he's going to continue to be a friend of mine. Will he probably be in my corner? Probably not. We have so many great guys at Extreme, Nate, Ray Cepho. We have so many savages that I would love to corner me. But, you know, man, that entire fight camp was just a struggle. Like, it was a fucking struggle. And, guys, we all have excuses as to why we didn't win or why we won and we shouldn't have won. We all fucking have excuses, and they don't fucking matter. The only reason why I'm making this video is because Eric had to go do a fucking podcast and become an influencer. So now I got to, like, all right, kind of explain myself. Opportunity. And not just with fighting. Opportunity never comes when it's supposed to. It doesn't matter what the circumstances, what the situation is. You will never wake up and say, no, today is the perfect day for opportunity. It will come at the worst fucking time. It will come at the worst time. And how many times it comes and you raise your hand and you say, you know what, like, I'm fucking ready. a lot of times you fail. A lot of the times you fail, but a lot of times you don't fail. And it's like, you must say yes. This is not an excuse, but that entire camp was just a struggle of I'm good. Knowing you're not good. I was in Colombia like 7 weeks out, and getting stem cells on a broken bone. Again, bone healed fine, not an excuse. It just kind of weighs in the back of your head. I was training with that Ritter guy, the submission guy, and he hit me with a whizzer. It was already broken. And dude, I thought my arm fucking snapped. It's like, I got to go to Colombia. Like, this is fucked. But all camp, this is just in the back of your head. And like, you just keep telling yourself, I'm fucking good. And I think this is just what all men do. Like, all men do this. Like, you look in the mirror and like, even though you know you're not good, you're like, I'm fucking good, dude. You're a fucking man. You sack up. But all camp, dude, whether it be, you know, the staph infection, the broken arm, the having to get a visa that didn't get approved until a week, not being able to get cornermen out there. This entire camp was like a struggle of I'm not good, but me looking in the mirror and saying sack up. And you know, man, nothing away from Dricus. He came there, fought his ass off, fucking broke my nose. Like, dude, fucking hell yeah, man. Like, hats off, dude. You fought like a fucking man. But you know, you guys, I don't fight to put belts on the wall. I don't fucking fight because, you know, Eric wants to go do a fucking fancy podcast. That's not why I fight. Before fighting, you guys, I mean, I had like the lowest self-esteem, fucking couldn't even look at myself in the fucking mirror. Like, I didn't even know what like dignity was, you know, when I first started fighting. And kind of through fighting, man, like I've learned like so much. I've met so many fucking amazing people through the UFC and fighting and fight fans. Like, you guys have changed my fucking life. Like, you've made me grow so much as a person in the ring and out of the ring, and that's why I fight. I fucking love it. I got a lot of fights left on my contract. I love fighting. I'm going back to the gym. I'm working my ass off, and I'm starting from fucking square one. And that's just kind of how life is, dude. Like, you'll always get a step back where you're like, all right, well, I got to start over again. And you have a choice. You either sack up and you do it, or you fucking quit. And I'm going to sack up and do it. And you know what? Fuck you guys. I broke my nose like fucking 3 times in that round. And every single time, I didn't quit. I didn't go sit on the stool and say, hey, my nose is broken, I can't fight. I adjusted every fucking time. And I thought, you know, man, maybe I'll get lucky, maybe I won't. But at the end of the day, dude, we all have a fucking story, and no one gives a fuck. I'm grateful for my life. I love my job. I love my fans. I support you guys just as much as you support me. Back in the gym, sack up, and on to the next.
So as he says, him and Eric are friends. You know what I mean? He doesn't want us to be saying too much. He seems to be coming quite humble. He's not getting angry about it or anything, which is fair enough. Hats off to Sean for that. You know what I mean? He's not been annoyed. Maybe he's annoyed off camera, but he's not showing it on here. But like, as Eric with being his head coach, and he's coming in here now saying that whole fight count was an absolute struggle. Eric will know that. Eric will know what was going on. He probably spoke to him during it saying, oh, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. Whatever was going on, whether the staff was an absolute struggle, whether there was something else going on, whether there was an injury, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he's literally sitting here admitting now and not trying to use it in his excuse as he's saying that fight camp was a struggle and he didn't perform to his best of his ability. Again, Eric's gone on a podcast now. He feels like he needs to explain himself because he's gone out there and badmouthed him. What type of head coach is that, people? And that's a solid piece of reflection from Sean Strickland there. For somebody that we normally find to be quite controversial and out there, he's clearly got the self-discipline and the self-reflective. Like, when an opportunity approaches itself, you can't turn it down, especially in the game of MMA. If something like a title fight turns up, you do not turn it down. Look at Arman Tsarukyan, who then pulled out one day before, just before the weigh-ins for his title fight, is now going to the back of the queue. So if Sean never went forward just because 1,000,001 things were happening within that camp or in the lead up to it and then during it, and he turned that fight down, where does that land him in that division? Where does that land him with the stead of the brass of the UFC? And then what would have happened to him going forward? We've had to, 2-3 more fights before he even got a sniff at a title again. And by that time, who's DDP going to be going and fighting? Because obviously he's looking at Hamzat and he's looking at Alex Pereira moving up to light heavyweight at this point. So Sean's right in this instance. Like, and then opportunities present themselves, you got to take them regardless of what's going on around you. As you got there, you had a little bit of stem cells and a broken bone. And then when he got hit with something in the fight, he felt like his arm snapped. There's another thing that mentally, you're not in the cage. You don't understand what it's like going in and fighting with somebody and what's going through that fighter's mind at that time from what's happened in the build up to it. But Eric would have known about that injury and would have known about that stem cells. And if he's gone back to his corner and said, I think my arm broke or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, these are things that are going to make him a little bit tentative going forwards in that fight. Again, Sean, very reflective, very humble in his approach to what's gone on in this one, as well as saying there that he has grown so much, touches on mental health, touches about a man looking himself in the mirror, and like he said, we're all guilty of it. Every single last one of us have all looked in the mirror at one point and gone, I'm good, even though when you know things aren't, because that's how we're brought up. That's how we're programmed. That's how we are. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even say programmed. That's the way we're wired. You know what I mean? Like, nut up, shut up, get up, and go. Like, that's just what we got to do. We realize that there's things in this life that you've just got to keep working through. And that's the only way you're going to get through it. Because as Sean said, there's going to be setbacks. So I just don't understand Eric Nicksick's approach in this one. As he said in that whole video, Eric's probably not going to be in his corner. He's getting back into work. He's getting back to the gym. He's getting things done. Even if he's got to start back at the beginning again, he's got a lot of fights left in his contract. And he's just going to do what he's got to do. He's going to push forward and he's just got to knuckle down and get on with it. Maybe he'll go and do some training with some other people. Obviously, he's been doing things with Alex Pereira, but he needs to mix it up a little bit. I think he does need to go and get a new coach. He needs to get some new training partners behind him and then mix up his skill set a little bit and come in as a new Sean Strickland. Obviously, he's not going to go right to the back of the queue. You know what I mean? He might have to go and fight a contender or two. He's probably going to have to fight somewhere in the middle of the rankings and then work his way back up towards the top again. But we probably ain't going to see Sean go for a title fight anytime soon. But this whole reason that I wanted to do this was that, and you can probably tell through this entire video, like, Eric Nicksick's approach pissed me off. Like, royally pissed me off. I was just like, that is not how you want your coach to be coming at you. As I've said, where's the management skills? Where's the leadership skills? Like, where's the mentor role in that? Where, like, go and speak to your fighter and talk to him about the motivation. Go and speak to your fighter and say, right, what's the next steps? Where do you want to go from here? Don't jump on a podcast and start bad-mouthing the dude when you know how much of crap he went through, which he all just listed in that video, leading up to this fight. So, yeah. That's all I've got to say about it, people. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your opinions. Was Eric Nicksick out of pocket? Am I being a bitch about it? Yeah, I mean, like, do you appreciate Sean Strickland's approach in defeat here? How he's looking at it? How he's giving homage and respect to Dricus Du Plessis, like, for the fight that went down and how he handled himself? Are you showing him the respect for the self-reflection and realizing that it wasn't his night and that he needs to go away and do some things? And obviously talking about the mental health aspect of things too. What is it like for a guy going through these situations, but he's going to nut up, shut up, and get going? Anyway, people, I've been the Rambling Dad. Like, comment, subscribe. Catch you next time.
What's going on, people? Arnold Allen here. Make sure you subscribe to the Rambling Dad podcast. Keep up to date with all his MMA content, fight breakdowns, interviews, and all that stuff. Give him a follow, give him a subscription, and yeah, get over there.